So, welcome back. You have studied about different kinds of triangles: acute triangle, right triangle, obtuse triangle. Now, you saw that in the last video we took a right triangle, right? So, we will focus on this right triangle. That will be our focus. Now, and by the way, any triangle you can make it into a right triangle. Okay, you might study that in the later classes, but just remember this: any triangle or even any shape, you can make it in the form of one or many right triangles. Okay, now why this is a right triangle? Because there is a 90-degree, remember that. And this, we have an angle here, and you see what we saw in the last video was we took the height and we made it smaller, 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 and what we saw was the ratios of the sides remain the same. The ratios of the sides remain the same. That's what we saw. Now, and all because the angle remained the same. Now this side of the triangle is called hypotenuse. Hypotenuse. Okay. And this side, and how to find that is, hypotenuse is always the side which is opposite the 90-degree angle. Whenever you see a right triangle, look at the 90-degree. The side opposite to the 90-degree is hypotenuse, whichever triangle it is. I mean, whichever way the triangle is aligned, right triangle is aligned. And this angle here, and we have an angle here. Two angles are there, two other angles. Now let us focus on this angle, and this angle I will call it x. Because I am focusing on this angle, this side is called opposite side. This side is called opposite side. Now why? Because it is opposite to x. You get it? It's opposite to this x. But suppose we took another angle, we took this angle, then this side would have been opposite side. Okay, so just depends on the angle that you're taking. So because we took this angle, this is the opposite side, and the base is called adjacent side. Not all bases are called, but this side which is close to this x is called adjacent side. Now why is it called adjacent side? What is the adjacent? It is not a difficult word. Suppose two people are standing next to each other, you could say it in another way: they are standing close to each other. You could also say, with the same meaning, they are standing adjacent to each other. So adjacent means the same meaning. Okay, adjacent means near, close. You get it? That meaning. So this side is the nearest side to x, right? I mean, this side is already called hypotenuse. So this side is the nearest side to x, the very close side to x, and that is why that side is called adjacent side. Okay. Now I want to see few things. What we saw was the ratios remain the same. So there are different ratios that we can take. We can either take opposite side by hypotenuse, that is opposite side by hypotenuse, or we could take adjacent side by hypotenuse, that would be another ratio, or we could take opposite side by adjacent, that would be another ratio. Now this opposite side by hypotenuse, that ratio is called sine. It has a meaning, it has a name to it, and that name is sine. It's a Latin name, again from the Latin language, but again, opposite side by hypotenuse, that ratio is called sine. Now remember, all these things are for right triangles, only right triangles. Okay, at least that is what you will study in 9th. In the later class you will see that you can improve this to other to circles, but for now, just understand this much. and adjacent side by hypotenuse, that ratio is called cosine. Cosine, you see, sine and cosine. And opposite side by adjacent side, that ratio is called tangent. Now all these ratios are dependent on the angle x. Okay, all these ratios are dependent on the angle x, because if it was some other angle, then the opposite side and the adjacent side would change. Hypotenuse would remain the same, of course, but opposite side and the adjacent side is dependent on the angle, because opposite side is the side opposite to x, adjacent side is the side adjacent to x. I mean you're able to understand, right? So because these ratios are based on the angle that we take, we have to write the name of the angle also here. Now because I named the angle x, this is called sine of x, cosine of x, and tangent of x, because all these ratios are based on the angle. Now these are, some words are big, sine's kind of small, but cosine and tangent are big words, and in maths we need short forms. So let us find the short forms of these things. So the way to take the short form is just take the first three letters. So sine, just take the first three letters, and that is sin, and that is the short form. You call it sine itself. And then cosine, take the first three letters, that is cos, and that is cos. Tangent, take the first three letters, and that is tan. So sine of x, cos of x, and tan of x. Let me put the equal sign. So this is our ratio, and these are our sum of our ratios. Sine of x is opposite side by hypotenuse, cos of x is adjacent side by hypotenuse, tan of x is opposite side by adjacent side. So keep this much in mind. Now these are what we studied just now. Now there are few more ratios that we can take. How means we will take the reciprocal of each side. Instead of opposite side by hypotenuse, we will take the reciprocal. That means hypotenuse by opposite side. Okay, now taking this reciprocal, and then we'll take the reciprocal of the other ratios also. Adjacent side by hypotenuse, I will take the ratio hypotenuse by adjacent side. Opposite side by adjacent side, I will take the ratio adjacent side by opposite side, and I get all these things. Now these ratios also have a name. Now I will write, this is the reciprocal of tangent of x, so I will write cotangent. This ratio is called cotangent of x. And this hypotenuse by adjacent side, this ratio is called secant of x. Secant of x. Now of course the name is only secant. X is our angle. If you had some other angle, y or z or whatever, theta or whichever angle you take, it will be based on that angle, but secant is the name. Then the first one, the hypotenuse by opposite side, I call it secant of x, and I add two more letters, cosecant of x. So these are your trigonometric ratios. Cosecant of x, that is hypotenuse by opposite side. Secant of x, that is hypotenuse by adjacent side. Cotangent of x, that is adjacent side by opposite side. Now again we can take short forms of these things. So taking the short forms, take the first three letters as usual. So cotangent, it will be first three letters COT, so cot. And secant, the first three letters SEC, sec of x, sec x or sec of x. Then cosecant, again take the first three letters, it will be cos. Okay, wait, that has an issue because we have another cos, so we cannot take first three letters. We will take the first five letters, COS C. Cosec. Now we have a different name. Okay, so these are our trigonometric ratios: cosec of x, sec of x, cot of x, and we'll put the equal sign. Okay, now there is a short form. By the way, one thing you need to see is cosec of x is nothing but the reciprocal of sine of x, that is 1 by sine of x. Sec of x is nothing but 1 by cos of x, reciprocal of cos of x. And cot of x is nothing but the reciprocal of tan of x, that is 1 by tan of x. Now, to remember few of these ratios, there is a short form, and that how to find that short form I will tell you. Sine of x, take the first letter sine, s. I write that down. That is opposite by hypotenuse, right? So I write s in capital letter and write opposite side o, first letter. All the first letters I will take. So o in small letter, h in small letter. So then I'll write cos c in capital letter because that is the name of the ratio. Then the adjacent by hypotenuse, I will take the first letters a and h. And similarly, I will take it for tan, that will be T, capital T, then O by A, because opposite side by adjacent side. Now this is your short form, Fakatova. You can either learn it by short form or you can learn it, you can learn it through this. There's a simple way of memorizing it, or you can, sit down and learn it, whichever way you want. So you would ask, sir, what about these three ratios? Now these three ratios are the reciprocal of these three. So if you can remember these three, put a little more effort and try to study the other three also. Okay, so Sokotova. So that'll be it for today. In the next video, we'll see what else are there. Okay.